Hello. So today I'm going to explain as best I can about the term key, and then we're going to play a song in one key, and then I'm going to offer that chart with notes on it about changing key. The song is going to be The Gambler, which many people know. Kenny Rogers made that famous, great song telling a really interesting story. And so as we've been learning in the key of C, because our instrument really lends itself to that key and makes it, and it's the most popular key in Western music. But what we want to do as we learn chords in that key is, so that's an important thing about learning and adding more chords, is that you can then change keys. So one of the chords you want to learn to change into the key of G, of course, would be the G chord, which we've been working in the key of C, because in the key of C, C, D, E, F, G, G is the 5. So you've been working on that in various ways to get that. So now you've got a G chord, hopefully somewhat solid. And then you want to be able to play the three most important chords in that key, which would be G. And not that A and B are not important, it's just that they're most often used is the 1, the 4th, and the 5th chords of the key. So that would be G, A, B, C, which we already know. But one we haven't done too much of, I'm not sure, I think we do D7 in Pearly Shells, but we're going to do a D chord. So I will refer you back to lesson 1 that shows you that chord chart. But basically the notes of the D chord are these three, 1, 2, 3. So they're all in the 2nd fret space. I'm not going to play them like that, but I'm just demonstrating. There's a couple of ways you can get those notes happening. So basically with good positioning here, so we've come across, we're holding this securely, just because it's important that we feel secure as we hold the instrument. Sometimes if we don't, it feels like it's running away, and that is not a comfortable way to be playing. So you've got the forearm pulling in, and you're getting used to that across the end there, and just grasping it here to be able to focus more on this part. So with our fingers 1, 2, and 3, with thumb and back, we're going to come and notice that my hand swivels up a bit to the headstock to permit those fingers fitting in there. So I've already tuned up my instrument. I don't need this on here anymore. This has the low G string on it, and we'll use that in our vocal warm-up that we'll do just for variety. You don't need that low G. It's just that as somebody who's teaching, it's important that I have that low G for range and other things, but you certainly don't need to have that. You would have to purchase a thicker string to get that tone, so not to worry about doing that, but just so that you understand. So again, the D chord with either G's on it is still played like this. Or another way that you can do it, because sometimes people's fingers are so large, to get 3 of them in there, it's just not a thing. And even if they're not, another thing that you can do is called barring. So we're not actually doing an entire bar on that, because we want this note to be unfretted down there. I call this 3 Men in a Tub. It's just a way for people to remember, and it's kind of a catchy sort of nursery rhyme, is that you've got 3 notes right here. So I'm just pressing down with that one finger, but I'm making sure it's kind of like a duck bill, and then I slide it on there, and it's not flattening out that A note there. It's actually a B note, but the A string. So that's another way, and you can feel the amount of sort of strength that your hand needs to do that, which is a good thing, to build that strength that we've been doing. Okay, so I'm going to set this down so I can explain key a little bit more easily with my chart. So you'll find this not in the comments, but the description box. So this is a chart that I sort of modified from my original chart, and basically what I wanted people to be able to do is to have a way to focus on something they already understand, which is the word key. Most people understand that a key unlocks something. You know, if you're unlocking a padlock, you're doing something, it's opening something for access. So key, the word in music, it's unlocking the main pitch of the song. So just to back up a little bit, in music, what happened to make music manageable in many ways and write downable, I don't know if that's a word, but they took the alphabet and they assigned letters to pitches. And so we had A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then it just repeats. So A, B ended up on here because in the West, this C seems to be the note that we really like singing in. It's a moderate tone. So you still have those letters. So in this word with key, basically what you have is, okay, we've unlocked the main pitch. Well, we're in the key of C most of the time on the ukulele because those are the easiest chords to play, and it's tuned for that purpose to be able to do that. And then what you have is you just have those in alphabetical order. So the pitches are C. This is our main pitch. So we call it number 1. As soon as we know that that's the key, we call that number 1. And then all the other pitches relate to that number 1. So that means that if C is 1, D is 2. Don't worry about these little M's for now, but that will become useful later. So we've got C, D, E is 3, F is 4, G is 5, and then 6, A, B. So I've put boxes around these 3 chords, C, F, and G7 is also interchangeable with that in many ways. But it's because in Western music, these 3 chords of a key are often used in many songs. And if you go back and look through the music that we've been working on, you'll see that it's C, F, and G, or G7, used in many chords or in many songs. Now, in The Gambler, which is the song I'm going to use to sort of illustrate the point, is that it's also in the key of C, and it uses the C, the F, the G, and the G7. And so now we're going to change that into the key of G. Well, not now, in a minute. So we're going to just figure out, okay, as soon as we know that the key is C, and we look at the bottom of the chart, the end, because most of the time that'll tell you the key, 99% of the time. So you know that now the key is C. So that's information that you can use. Okay, I've got the key of C. And then you start to notice, okay, well, often these chords C, F, and G are being used. Those are 1, 4, 5, and it's just because we like the sound of those what's called intervals put together. We like the sound of C with F. We like the sound with C going up to the 5, 1 to 5, 1 to 4, and arranged in slightly different ways. So you'll start to notice that that's what's happening in a lot of songs. So I wrote, if the key is C, that is number 1, and the other letters or pitches are musical steps called intervals from number 1. Common steps are 4 and 5. In the key of C, those are F, which is 4, and G, or G7, which is 5. So that means that when we take a song, and you'll have access to that so that you can have one of those, is that when we take a song like The Gambler, for instance, and we're playing those chords, and I'll just use this to illustrate the same idea of what we're working on, is that along the top what I did was I put the chords C, F, G, and then I had to sort of mess this all up, and it's a bit messy, but it's a good teaching thing for you, is that now we're going to change the key to G. So now G is 1, C is 4, and D is 5, or D7. So that's why it's important that you learn that D chord. So you can spend some time working on the D chord, and then we're just going to play through it in the key of C. And you'll hear the difference when we change the pitch to sing in a different key. And so along the bottom, I've just explained, and I took some of the song out to change the key to G. G is 1, where in the key of C, C was 1. So follow the alphabet to find the 4th and 5th chords that you need. So I've just drawn it here. It's hard to sort of see, but you'll see if you go across, C is 1, F is 4, G is 5, that's in the key of C, and then down here, if the key is G, G is 1, and then you've got 2, 3, 4 is C, and 5 is D. And why that's important and why you want to know that will become evident as you get deeper into your musical experience. But just try to understand that, dip your toe in the idea that you can learn how to change keys, and it's not, extremely complicated to learn once you understand that the key, the term key, is giving you something that's going to unlock where the main pitch is. And when we change the key, that's a different unlocking of a different pitch. And then the chords that you need to play in that key relate to number 1. So whenever you hear the word key, just remember that that letter is now number 1. And so all the other ones that you can count. Now, what you want to do to figure out the key, so say for instance, if you're doing the key of D, That's easy to transpose from C because all the chords that you would see would move up one letter. So every time you would see C, you would put a D, and every time you would see F, you would put G, and then you would just pencil in. So what I did on the Gambler in my copy that you can do, is that you can write the key of G above where the C is in pencil or whatever, and then go to the next chord. And so if it's F in the original key, that's C, D, E, F, that's 4 from the 1. So in the key of G, it would be G, A, B, C. So every time you would see F, you would put a C, and you can just start to go through that and understand it's very repetitious once you get it. So in the song, the next chord is C again, so you know that now C is G in our new key. Every time you see C, you would put a G. And then when you get to the G7 in the original key of C, that would be C, D, E, F, G, or G7 is 5. So in the key of G, G, A, not H, A, B, C, and D. And you can just put a D7 every time you see a 7th. Okay, so let's do our little warm-up. We'll do our open C string. La, a low G, so that's an octave below what that you would have probably on your instrument. La, and let's go between C and G, the low G. La, and now just listen. La, and now, excuse me, let's do the E. La. So in strung order, so now we're going to do in pitch order because it's low G, we're going to do G. La, la, la. And you can do more of that. I just don't want to make these videos too long. So we're going to go and we're going to play the Gambler nice and in the key of C, and then we'll go and do a little bit in the key of G, and you'll see the difference. On a warm summer's evening, on a train bound for nowhere, I met up with the Gambler. We were both too tired to sleep. There's your friend G7. So we took turns of staring out the window at the darkness till boredom overtook us. And now G instead of G7, they've got he began to speak. Okay, so you could carry on in the key of C, but if you wanted to transpose it into the key of G, that's the word they use, transpose. We're going to go back and I'm going to play a G. Now I'm going to play a G at the beginning for where a warm summer's evening is. I'm now playing in the key of G. So G is number 1. Start to strum that, and you would have to change your vocal pitch. So give your ear a lot of that. Give a lot of G's. Warm summer's evening. Now C. The train back to G. Still G. Met up with the Gambler. We were both too tired to. Now this is going to be a D7. Back to G. So we took turns of staring out the window at the darkness till boredom overtook us. Now where it says G, you're going to play a D chord, and he began to speak. So if that was confusing, as it could very well be, make sure that you take the chart that you have that I put in the description box and write above the chords, right? So on a warm summer's evening, that would be now G instead of C. Then you get to the next chord, F. That's going to be a C. So every time you see that F chord, it's going to be a C chord. You see the next chord is a C, that's going to be G. So if you're writing those in pencil, which I didn't do because I wanted you to be able to do that yourself, right? I met up with the Gambler, you're in a G chord there. Both too tired to sleep, which in the original key would be G7, but in the key of G, G, A, B, C, D7. Right, so I hope that helps you understand. Let's do the chorus. I'm going to do the chorus in the key of C. and then we'll do it again in the key of G. So start in the, give yourself the sound because the vocal is going to change. Strum the C chord a bit in the chorus. So the, you got to know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em, know when to walk away, know when to run. You never count your money when you're sitting at the table. There'll be time enough for counting when the deal is done. And I missed that chord F there. I don't think it's necessary to play that one. Anyways, so now G. Let's do that in the key of G, the chorus. So you got a G chord as number 1. So we're going to strum it. Give that pitch to your ear. You gotta know when to hold 'em. C. Know when to back to G, and C. Know when to walk away. Get ready for D. You never G or G. When you're sitting at the table, there'll be time enough for counting, and D when the deal is done. Right? So that's a lot to do to figure out, but because I wanted to offer that as the toe dipping into the water about changing the key, right? You might just find this is like super baffling. You don't want to do it. It's no, no, no. And as you keep going, you might be able to refer back to this and understand a little bit more. Some of you who've done this for a while will find it's not anything that's difficult, and you just have to take a pencil and write in the new chords above the original key, and you've got yourself a way to transpose songs into different keys. And you can see the difference in the pitch of being able to sing. And we're up here on a warm, and in the key of G on a warm. So I've dropped down in that. Okay, so have fun with that. That's my idea of fun. I really love doing stuff like that and noodling around with songs, and adding to knowledge and offering that to you. So if you did find that useful and helpful, if you really struggle and don't understand, let me know the parts and I might be able to help you out with that. Otherwise, again, that's going to be in the description box, the Gambler with the changes on it, and parts for you to be able to do yourself, the change, and the description about how to change key and what that means. So this doesn't show you all the keys. This is just a blow up of one key of C, and then just so that you have an idea of how that's done. Okay, have a great day. Thanks for watching.